30 Days of Silent Death, the assassination attempt on President Traoré. In Burkina Faso, in the heart of the capital Ouagadougou, the presidential palace stood as a symbol of security and state authority. With its thick stone walls, armored doors, and soldiers on guard at every corner, it seemed like an impenetrable fortress to any enemy. But sometimes, the greatest danger doesn't come through the gates, it comes through the air. President Ibrahim Traoré, despite his young age, had won the love of the people. As a leader who managed to break the influence of colonial powers in the country, yet, without realizing it, for exactly 23 days, he had been inching closer to death with every breath he took. Cool air flowing from the ceiling vents in his office had been laced with a deadly, modified nerve gas designed to be undetectable. This gas was far more insidious than classic poisons. It gave no signs at first, building up slowly in the body, weakening the immune system, and damaging nerve cells. Its effect time could be preset in advance. This special formula was prepared to cause fatal organ failure exactly on the 30th day. That way, the cause of death would look like complications from a tropical disease, and no chemical traces would be found in any laboratory analysis. The dark plot. This plan was the work of a shadowy network operating both inside and outside Burkina Faso. French intelligence circles, eager to regain their old colonial influence, had pulled certain high-ranking figures in the country to their side. At the center of the plot was the country's Deputy Minister of the Interior. Known for corruption allegations, he had secretly met with certain figures in Paris months earlier, receiving promises that, if successful, he would be installed as the head of a Western-backed government. According to one intelligence report, the gas had been produced at a France-based defense company and smuggled into the country via private military contractors in Africa. A member of the palace's technical maintenance crew had been paid to install the device into the air conditioning system. The plan was so meticulously crafted that Traoré's death would appear natural, both domestically and abroad, paving the way for a pro-Western administration. The first symptoms. In recent days, Traoré had begun to notice strange changes in his body. At first, there were only mild headaches, then joint pain and nausea followed. He had even felt dizzy during meetings, once leaning on the table to steady himself. Yet, he pushed on with his busy schedule. In security briefings, he discussed terrorist threats and economic reforms, putting his own health aside. When close aides told him, "Mr. President, you should see a doctor," he simply laughed and replied, "I've just been working too hard in this heat, that's all." But in the back corridors of the palace, there was a man who would break this silent death plan. The unexpected hero. Abubakar from the palace cleaning staff seemed like an ordinary worker. Every morning, he came in early, cleaned rooms, wiped desks, and emptied trash bins. But in his past, there was a young man whose chemistry education had been cut short. Forced to leave university due to financial hardship, he had taken up cleaning to support his family. Still, he never lost his passion for science. On the morning of the 23rd day, when Abubakar entered Traoré's office, he noticed a faintly sweet scent in the air. At first, he thought it came from the recently changed air filter, but the smell left a slight metallic taste in his mouth. It reminded him of the rare odor of toxic gases he had learned to recognize in chemistry labs years ago. He paused for a moment, wondering, am I imagining this? But suspicion got the better of him. That evening, after work, he borrowed his nephew's small chemistry experiment kit. The next morning, while cleaning the office, he discreetly placed a small tube at the air vent to collect a sample. The truth revealed. Even the simple tests he ran at home were enough to expose the horrifying truth. The air contained a toxin targeting the nervous system. Abubakar rechecked his results, trying to eliminate any margin of error. The outcome didn't change. By his calculations, the president had only 7 days left before the gas would completely destroy his body. A race against time. Abubakar immediately contacted a few trusted soldiers in the palace. "This is serious. We must tell the president right away," he insisted. At first, the soldiers were cautious about believing him, but Abubakar's detailed explanations and lab notes convinced them. When informed, Traoré at first found it hard to believe. "They're going to try to kill me." Through the air conditioning? That sounds like something from a movie, he said. But when Abubakar listed his symptoms one by one, his expression grew serious. So I only have 7 days left? He asked quietly. Abubakar nodded silently. The operation and survival. The presidential doctors immediately began emergency treatment, special detox protocols, nerve cell protectants, and immune system boosters. The palace's technical team dismantled the ventilation system, finding a small grey cartridge hidden inside. It had a serial number and production code, which led directly to a France-based defense company. The faces behind the curtain. A secret investigation revealed the Deputy Minister of the Interior's meetings in Paris and his paid agreements with foreign intelligence operatives. The incident sent shockwaves not just through Burkina Faso, but across all of Africa. Aftermath. After surviving, Traoré addressed the nation. What saved me was not technology, not intelligence services. What saved me was one person's attention and courage. Sometimes the fate of a nation depends on a small detail, noticed by a single human being. From that day on, Abubakar was no longer seen as just a cleaner. He was remembered as a hero. Thanks to him, the 30-day silent death plan had failed, and the leader of the nation was still alive. Shadow confrontation. Weeks had passed since the incident. President Traoré had recovered physically after intensive treatments, but the wounds in his soul were still raw. Every morning when he woke up, his first thought was, "Am I still alive today?" The poison hadn't just attacked his body, it had corroded his sense of trust. Security protocols in the presidential palace had been completely overhauled. Now, even the air entering the rooms passed through special filters, and every corner and device was inspected regularly. Yet Traoré knew the real danger wasn't outside the walls, it was inside. As the covert investigation deepened, new names emerged. Some ministry officials were found to have received money through consulting companies based in Europe. Paris kept issuing diplomatic statements insisting the accusations were baseless. But Burkina Faso's intelligence service had already obtained recordings of secret meetings in France, along with signed agreements. These documents were locked away, waiting for the right moment to be revealed to the international public. On sleepless nights, Traoré would switch off the lights in his office and sit by the window. Staring at the dark streets of Ouagadougou, the same sentence echoed in his mind. They are still here, waiting in the shadows. He now understood that this assassination attempt was only the beginning, just the first move in a larger, deeper, and more organized war. In the meantime, Abubakar had become a legend among the people. His courage reinforced the belief that one person's awareness can change a nation's fate. Within the palace, he was among the most trusted individuals. Yet he remained loyal to his duties, cleaning the president's office each morning. But his work was no longer just about dusting. He would smell the air, scan the corners with sharp eyes, and watch for even the smallest change. One morning, as Traoré worked in his office, Abubakar approached quietly. Seeing that same vigilant look in the man's eyes, the president smiled. "No one can poison me here anymore, Abubakar." Abubakar paused for a moment, then shook his head. "Mr. President, poison doesn't only come from the air. Sometimes it comes from the hands you think are friendly. Sometimes from promises made at the table." In that moment, both men knew the war was far from over. The real enemy was still waiting, hidden in unseen hands. From then on, Traoré understood that not only his country, but his own life, would have to remain in a constant state of alert. And so, in the heart of Burkina Faso, an invisible chess game had begun. Pieces were moving silently, and the moves were being made in the depths of the night. If you like the story, don't forget to subscribe and comment.